whichever party's in charge, the UK will never ever join the euro now. So we'll have some very dangerous new status. We'll be somewhere floating around, some sort of associate status outside the inner core, guaranteed to be outvoted. Guaranteed to be outvoted in the European Parliament, guaranteed to be outvoted in the Council, where David Cameron's been outvoted 40 times, and above all, overruled by the Court of Justice. We need to get our seat back on the world bodies, where increasing decisions are made. Everyone bangs on about Brussels regulation. Increasingly, rules are made at the world level, where we no longer have a vote. And we could spend more money on agriculture, but we would target it. And here you would have MLAs sitting for us, who would understand the industry here, would understand the environment, working with local farming organisations. Northern Ireland will have the best of everything. Having got corporation tax through, you'll be able to compete with the Republic of Ireland, but have all the advantages of being part of the fifth largest economy, which will really take its place, pushing for world free trade, all the advantages of the stability of the UK, our legal system. It's a massive double advantage for Northern Ireland to vote for Brexit.
I do believe that economically and in other ways Remain is a bit of a no-brainer, and the fact is our producers, they don't compete on bulk and scale, they compete on high quality, and being part of the most stable market in the world, 500 million consumers ready to purchase high quality food is absolutely vital to them. I think, Owen, you might be a little bit optimistic about any sweetheart deals that the UK would get if it walked away from Europe. I don't think Europe would do it particularly punitively, but I don't think I think people talk about Norway and Sweden, and with respect, the UK is neither of those places. And certainly, I think in Northern Ireland, I don't think the discourse has got so much about immigration. But while there are pressures on public services, we have to be very clear that they're not the fault of a Polish care worker or an Estonian software developer at all, and that actually inward migration is on almost a net level here. We have about the same number of people coming in as leaving. Certainly I do think that complex global problems like climate change, like the humanitarian crises, like tax regimes, they don't stop at borders, and they can't be resolved just by nation states.
With the Vote Leave campaign here in Northern Ireland, we are not promising you perfection. We are not promising you a new utopia, and we're not threatening you with a nightmare either. You take value-added tax. We pay it every single day, and our elected politicians do not control it. We have to ask permission from 27 countries if we can change it. I do not think that is appropriate or right. In terms of our net contributions over the last number of years, we've actually contributed more to the EU than we've made in public cuts to services. The selling point of the EU is good. You're paying money, you're being a member, you're getting rules, you're getting regulations, but think of what you're getting. Access to a market. 500 million people. Problem with that is we have a massive trade deficit. We're paying the fee, we're following the rules, we're not getting the trade benefits.
In many ways, the real question is not whether the UK should leave the EU, but what type of reformed EU we need to have. The Remain future vision for Europe is one of proactive engagement for mutual gain. It can be societal, it can be workers' rights, anti-discrimination measures, equal pay for men and women, greater maternity and paternity rights, and my particular focus is the economy. So I want to see business growth, I want to see job growth, I want to see economic growth, all of which I believe we will see if we remain in the EU. 100,000 jobs will be created on the completion of the single market, jobs with Brexit which would simply not be created. And 3,500 of those jobs are due to be created here in Northern Ireland. Risk is bad for business, risk is bad for jobs, and ultimately this type of risk is bad for our economy. The single market enables local business to export easily into a market of 500 million people without having to worry about different rules or barriers to trade. I want to see those local businesses export more easily and not be hindered by barriers to trade.
Let's get some of your questions.
How do you see us actually being able to look after Northern Ireland, the north of England, and be able to afford keeping all the jobs and everything in place while we do all our new trade deals?
Absolutely nothing changed. Everything carries on as is. And to pick up one of Claire's points, there was this long-standing international convention, the assumption of continuity. So all existing trade deals carry on while the negotiations carry on. So this idea that we're suddenly going to leap off into a big black hole when everything stops is absolutely ludicrous.
Part of the problem that there are pressures in the health service and in the housing sector is because of your government underfunding them, and I think most people will see that that is the problem, the lack of funding and the ideologically motivated austerity.
You've mentioned goods and people moving, but you haven't talked much about services. I'd like to hear your opinion on the impact on financial services in London by withdrawal, and what that would mean for the pound, what it would mean for the investment community in the City of London.
Regulation is increasing at a global level, and we need to be working with like-minded allies at global level. The city's got extraordinary skills. It's easily the biggest centre in Europe. We were told if we didn't join the ERM, if we didn't join the Euro, that everyone would flee and would disappear. It hasn't happened. The city has gone from strength to strength. It's the skills and the services and the price and the rapidity.
Our unions here are not at all worried that potentially one of the implications is Middle England votes for Brexit, and as soon as anything, SNP move for a second referendum to remove themselves from the UK.
1 in 3 of the people who voted for the SNP at the last election, where they lost their overall majority, don't want a second referendum. They like the SNP running the country, but they don't want a second referendum. The SNP cannot afford to annoy those people.